Your life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change. People love to say it takes 21 days to build a habit, but what if one focused week could light the spark you've been waiting for? 7 days of honest effort. 7 days where you stop negotiating with your future and start showing up for it. Most people spend months, even years, circling the same routine, waking up tired, chasing distractions, making promises they never honor, hoping that somehow life will improve on its own. I've been there. I know what it's like to want change so badly you can feel it in your chest and still not know where to begin. That was me until I got tired of hearing my own excuses. I didn't flip my life overnight. I didn't climb a mountain or win the lottery. I chose 5 simple habits for one simple week, and that week cracked open a door I thought was sealed shut. It gave me back my time, my energy, and most importantly, my belief in myself. This isn't about perfection. It's about momentum, small wins, daily disciplines that don't just edit your calendar, they rewrite your identity. If you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're ready to take control, stay with me. I'm going to walk you through the 5 habits that changed my life in just 7 days and show you how to start small, stay consistent, and build a life you can be proud of, one day at a time. Start with one habit that matters. The biggest mistake people make is trying to change everything at once. You get a burst of motivation and suddenly you want to fix your sleep, your diet, your money, your routines, your relationships, everything by Monday. Real change rarely comes from massive overhauls. It comes from choosing one thing and honoring it until it becomes part of who you are. When I finally said enough to autopilot, I didn't try to reinvent my entire life. I picked one habit. I told myself, if I can do this for 7 days, I'll prove to myself that change is possible. That decision became the hinge everything swung on. You don't need 10 new habits. You need one habit done 10 times. Consistency beats intensity. Look at the writers, athletes, founders, and creators you admire. Their magic isn't in occasional heroics. It's in the rhythm they protect. Jerry Seinfeld marked an X on a calendar for writing jokes. The rule was simple. Don't break the chain. One page, one set, one outreach, one focused block. Repeat it until it becomes automatic. That's how you wire trust into your nervous system. You don't build discipline overnight. You build it through daily choices so small, your excuses can't argue them away. One push-up, one page, one glass of water, one 10-minute walk. Make it laughably doable, then do it anyway. 2 days become 3, 3 become 5, a week becomes a streak. Identity shifts. You stop saying I'm trying and start saying this is who I am. Make it practical. Choose the single habit most aligned with the life you want. Keep it small enough to do on your busiest day. If you want to read more, promise 10 pages. If you want to get fit, promise 5 minutes of movement. If you want better mornings, promise to wake 15 minutes earlier. Don't try to change the world. Win the next 7 days. There is a quiet power in keeping your word to yourself. When you say you'll do something and you do it, especially when no one is watching, you create self-respect. And self-respect is the soil where confidence grows. Prioritize small, consistent actions. There's a myth that transformation happens in one grand moment, a breakthrough, a lightning bolt, a speech that turns everything around. Those moments exist, but they're rare. What actually moves lives is quiet, steady effort, tiny decisions, small wins that compound. If you want to change your habits, pursue a dream, or rebuild your mindset, stop waiting for perfect timing. Motivation is unreliable. Consistency is a promise you make and keep. It's not about what you do once in a while, it's about what you do daily, especially when you don't feel like it. Small actions are powerful because they bypass resistance. They don't trigger fear or overwhelm. They're doable, and what's doable becomes repeatable. Repeatable becomes automatic. Automatic becomes identity. Most people don't fail because they never start. They fail because they try to do too much too soon and burn out. Progress doesn't have to be dramatic to be meaningful. 1 day of effort won't change much. 100 days of effort will change everything. So choose one area, your finances, your energy, your confidence. Ask yourself, what's one small action I can do every day to push this forward? Not a 5-hour grind. Just one step so simple you can't talk yourself out of it. Do it daily, track it. Keep score, don't skip, treat it like brushing your teeth. Celebrate small wins. People ignore them and only notice what's missing. They minimize what's working and then wonder why momentum dies. When you acknowledge progress, even tiny progress, you reinforce the behavior and fuel the next step. Imagine where your life could be in a month if you honored one small action every day. Imagine 6 months. Imagine a year. This is how lives pivot, not in fireworks, but in repetitions that quietly stack until they change everything. Protect your focus. Focus is rare and valuable. We live inside an attention economy designed to keep you scrolling your future away. Your phone buzzes, a notification pops up, you check for a second, and an hour is gone. You felt busy, but nothing moved forward. That's the trap, the illusion of productivity without progress. If you don't control your focus, the world will control it for you. Every platform is engineered to harvest your attention. If they win, you lose time, energy, and clarity. Ask yourself how far you'd be with 2 deep, uninterrupted hours a day on what actually matters. A month from now, a year from now. Focus is the doorway to excellence, and guarding it is a skill you can practice. Start small. Create one daily window for deep work. 30 minutes, then an hour, then 2. During that window, silence notifications, put the phone in another room, close the inbox, and remove the chance to multitask. Let the people around you know you're unavailable for that block. That isn't rude, it's responsible. Your attention is your most valuable asset. 2 focused hours a day is about 60 hours a month, around 720 hours a year. That's nearly a month of creation reclaimed from distraction. You don't need fancy tools. A timer and a closed door will do. You will drift sometimes. Breathe and return to the one task that moves the needle. Over time, you stop reacting to everything and start directing your day. Take care of your health first. Your body powers your vision. If the engine is weak, the journey stalls. Big goals don't move if you don't have the energy to carry them. When your body is depleted, your mind fogs. When your mind fogs, your decisions slip. When decisions slip, your future pays. People say they don't have time to exercise or eat well, but how much time will burnout steal? How many opportunities will you skip because your energy is gone? You don't need a perfect plan. You need the basics. Move daily, even 20 minutes. Do simple strength, push-ups, squats, planks, drink more water, eat mostly real food, sleep 7 to 8 hours of real rest. No perfection, just essentials, honored consistently. When you take care of yourself, you send a message that changes everything. I matter. That message raises your standards at work, in relationships, and in the risks you're willing to take. If you spend your days sitting, this matters even more. Movement resets the nervous system, clears stress, and generates momentum. The more energy you have, the easier discipline becomes. The easier discipline becomes, the faster you move. It's a flywheel you can start today. Track your small wins to build big confidence. The way you measure progress shapes your identity. Most people only celebrate major milestones, the promotion, the launch, the finish line. Those peaks are great, but they're rare. If you only feed on rare moments, you starve your spirit between them. Confidence isn't an accident, it's evidence. Every time you do what you said you would do, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Proof compounds into belief, belief shapes behavior, and behavior builds results. Start a simple log, paper, notes app, anything. At the end of each day, write one thing you did well, drank water, completed your focus block, walked 10 minutes after dinner. One win is enough. Over time, those notes become a story you can't argue with. You're no longer the person who almost changes. You're the person who follows through. There will be days when motivation is low and progress feels invisible. That is when your log matters most. You'll read it and remember that effort is compounding even when you can't feel it. You'll go to bed with the quiet satisfaction of knowing the day didn't just pass, you used it. Fulfillment doesn't wait at the finish line, it grows in the process of showing up. Now let's go deeper into the week that resets everything. Day 1 is the promise you make to yourself. You don't need to do something huge, you need to do something honest. You lay out your single habit, you schedule your focus block, you fill a bottle of water and put it next to your keyboard, and you move your body before you open your most addictive app. Day 1 is about choosing the path and taking the first quiet step. Day 2 is about friction. Your brain will offer reasons. You're tired. You'll start tomorrow. It's just one day. This is where you win by shrinking the target and honoring it anyway. 5 minutes means 5 minutes. 10 pages means 10 pages. A promise kept, even when small, is bigger than a promise imagined but never kept. Day 3 is when rhythm begins. The habit fits into a pocket you didn't know your day had. You finish the action and feel a spark of pride, not because the world noticed, but because you noticed. You write it down. You protect your identity by protecting the proof. Day 4 is the test. The calendar gets crowded, someone needs you, a message pings. The old you would abandon the plan. The new you trims it but doesn't skip it. You do one set. You read 5 pages instead of 10. You take a brisk walk around the block. You still mark the win. A smaller version of the habit is not a failure. It is a refusal to break the chain. Day 5 arrives with momentum. You open your focus block and you fall into your work faster than earlier in the week. Distractions still tap on the window, but the glass feels thicker. You can see them without obeying them. You finish your block and add a tiny extra minute just because you can. Day 6 feels different in your body. You wake up a little clearer. Food tastes cleaner. The urge to scroll is duller. You begin to notice how much of your old fatigue was just the fog of unmade decisions. You are deciding and the fog is lifting. You are starting to feel like a person who keeps promises to themselves. That feeling is not luck, it is earned. That's why it's so powerful. It belongs to you. And then there is day 7. Not a victory parade, but a mirror. Day 7 is the moment where you decide whether the first week was a stunt or the start. It's the day you prove who you are becoming, not by adding more, but by keeping what works and making it simpler to repeat. You protect the chain. You tighten the window where your habit lives, so it is harder to miss and easier to complete. You build a simple dashboard you can glance at in seconds. A date, a check mark, a brief note about how it felt. You do not complicate it. You remove the friction that made the old life so heavy. Now look beyond the first week. What happens when you extend this pattern without making it fragile? You keep your one habit and add 10% more only when the current version feels boring. You keep your focus block and allow yourself to end it 1 minute early if your attention frays, because the goal is consistency, not punishment. You keep your movement and add a stretch at night because sleep is your performance enhancer. You keep your water bottle visible because your environment should help you, not test you. You keep your log because success leaves clues, and you need to see them every day. There will be temptations to do more, faster. There will be voices inside and outside that say it's not enough, that real change requires dramatic acts and grand pledges. But you've tasted what actually works. You know that control of your attention is leverage. You know that strength of your body is leverage. You know that a single honest habit repeated is leverage. Leverage is how you move big things with small effort. You don't need fireworks. You need levers you can pull every day. Picture a morning where you wake before your phone wakes you. The room is quiet. The world hasn't asked anything from you yet, and you meet yourself before you meet your notifications. You drink water. You take a short walk in the cool air or stretch by the window. You sit down for your focus block. You open only what matters. You make progress that would have taken you all afternoon if you were switching apps. You close the block and feel the relief that comes from completing something important early. The rest of your day isn't perfect, but it's anchored. Problems come and you handle them without losing yourself because your center is set. You look at your log that night and write down what you did and how it felt. The entry is short. The meaning is not. Now imagine the same day, weeks later. The simple things are now automatic. You don't debate the habit, you just do it. You don't dread the block. You step into it like a doorway. The body that once felt sluggish now feels like a tool you can trust. The voice that once doubted now sounds like a coach. You didn't become a different person in a single leap. You became a different person by becoming the kind of person who doesn't need a leap, because the ground under your feet is stable. This is how you take back control from distractions that were designed to own you. This is how you stop handing your time to people and platforms that will never pay it back. This is how you make your life heavier with meaning and lighter with regret. Not by doing more, but by doing what matters and doing it again. Not by trying to be perfect, but by refusing to be absent. Not by waiting for the right mood, but by moving in the right direction and letting your mood catch up. If you lead a team, this changes the way you lead. You stop asking people to perform miracles on top of chaos. You ask them to protect focus, to make promises they can keep, to track the small wins that reveal where the real momentum lives. If you are building a business, this changes the way you build. You stop chasing every trend and start shipping one meaningful improvement after another. If you are rebuilding your confidence after a setback, this changes the way you heal. You stop measuring yourself by peaks and start measuring yourself by presence. There is a kind of peace that comes from living a day you respect. Not a day where you did everything, but a day where you did the right things. A day where your attention served your priorities. A day where your body felt like an ally. A day where your promises to yourself were kept. Stack enough of those days, and the future you kept postponing walks through the door you've been opening inch by inch. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It slips in quietly and sits down in the life you made ready for it. People will notice. They won't know exactly why at first. They'll say you seem calmer, sharper, more present. They'll ask what changed, and you'll smile, because the answer is smaller than they expect and bigger than they can imagine. You change the way you spend your minutes. Minutes compound into days, days into weeks, weeks into a way of being. You didn't wait for permission. You didn't beg for motivation. You built evidence, and the evidence rebuilt you. Keep the habit small enough to survive your worst day. Keep the focus block sacred enough to protect your best work. Keep the body cared for enough to carry your biggest goals. Keep the log simple enough to show you the truth. Keep showing up. Keep the chain unbroken. Keep the door open to the person you are becoming, because they are knocking every morning you wake, and choose what to do first. And when the old urges return, when the algorithm feels louder than your inner voice, when a long day tempts you to forget the simple things that keep you steady, remember this: you don't have to feel like doing it to do it. You don't have to do the most. You have to do what matters. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be present. Take the smallest version of the action and complete it. Then breathe. Then write it down. Then move on. Momentum is not a mood. Momentum is the result of movement. There will be seasons that test your patience, projects that stretch longer than you hoped, goals that fog up just when you thought they were clear. In those seasons, shrink the target and lengthen your timeline. The truth is that most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year lived with intention. A year of guarded focus blocks, a year of steady movement and real sleep, a year of one habit that grows only when it's ready, a year of logging wins that nobody else sees. That kind of year doesn't change one thing, it changes everything. So choose your one habit right now and write it where you can't miss it in the morning. Set tomorrow's focus block and decide in advance what you'll work on. Put water by your bed and your shoes by the door. Clear the desk you'll sit at. Charge your devices in another room. Make the first right action the easiest action. When the morning comes, you won't debate. You'll begin. You'll step into a day that feels like a promise kept. You'll end that day with the quiet pride that only earned progress can give. And in that quiet pride, something inside you will settle into place and whisper the sentence that makes all of this worth it. I keep my promises. That sentence changes everything because it gives you a way to trust yourself when no one else is watching. A promise kept is a door opened. A door opened is a path revealed. A path revealed is a future that stops feeling theoretical and starts feeling reachable. You don't need certainty to move. You need integrity measured in minutes. You need the small proof that says you are the kind of person who does what they said they would do when they said they would do it, even if the scale is humble and the audience is zero. So you keep going. You keep the habit small enough to survive your busiest day and meaningful enough to signal who you are becoming. You keep the focus block sacred enough to protect your best work from the noise that used to own you. You keep your body cared for, so the mind that rides inside it can aim higher without breaking. You keep the log simple and honest so you can see the arc you're drawing across your days. And then you begin to stack. Stacking is not a race. Stacking is respect. Respect for your bandwidth. Respect for your brain's love of frictionless starts. Respect for the reality that sustainability beats spectacle. When the base habit feels boring, you add a sliver. 10 pages become 12. 5 minutes of movement become 7. A 30-minute focus block becomes 35, but only after a week where the smaller version felt automatic. You do not scale your effort faster than you scale your identity. You let your identity catch up, then you nudge the edge. You also make the hard things easier to begin. You set out the book the night before and leave it open to the page. You lay out the shoes and put the water bottle where your hand will land. You decide the precise task of your focus block before you sleep so the morning doesn't waste your best energy on choosing. You put your phone to charge in another room like a guard dog that only barks at night. You remove one tap from every good decision and add one tap to every bad one. You become your own architect. There will be days when life is louder than your plan. On those days, you apply the no-zero rule. No zero reading, no zero movement, no zero focus. Even 2 minutes counts. You are defending identity, not chasing records. You are keeping the chain unbroken because an unbroken chain is easier to lengthen tomorrow than a broken one is to restart. You treat discipline like oxygen, something you take in constantly, not something you binge on occasionally. And when setbacks arrive, as they will, you respond like a builder. You don't moralize the weather. You patch what broke. You ask what friction you can remove. You shorten the distance between impulse and action. You apologize to no one for doing what your future requires. You refuse the drama of all or nothing. You choose all or something, something small, something repeatable, something that keeps the door open to the person you're becoming. You will notice the world reacting, not because you announce anything, but because presence is hard to fake. You walk into rooms with a quieter kind of authority. You answer messages on your time, not on the timeline that used to yank your attention like a leash. You say yes with your whole chest, or you say no without apology. You stop negotiating with distractions that never paid you back. People feel the difference before they understand it. The difference is evidence. Evidence changes rooms. Then comes the second week, and the third, and the fourth. The calendar pages turn, and with them your tolerance for aimlessness lowers while your appetite for clarity grows. You begin to design your days on purpose. Mornings earn the right to be sacred because they hold your most reliable energy. Evenings become a gentle landing instead of a noisy collapse. You build tiny rituals around the hinge points, the first light, the first sip, the first step, the first keystroke. Rituals are anchors. Anchors keep ships from drifting. You also create a scoreboard you can scan in 10 seconds, not a maze of metrics, a single line for each pillar: attention, body, habit, learning, contribution. A simple mark for done or not done. If you love numbers, add a tiny note: minutes, pages, steps. If you don't, leave it binary: did or did not. You are not making a museum. You are building a dashboard. Your future self will actually check. The goal is not to be impressed by your system. The goal is to be changed by your system. As your consistency grows, you realize something powerful about fear. Fear hates specifics. When you spell out the exact action you will take at the exact time, in the exact place, fear loses its fog machine. You transform "I'll work on my goals" into "at 7:30 I open the document and write 100 words before I check anything." You transform "I'll get healthier" into "after I brush my teeth, I drink a full glass of water and do 10 squats. If then is your friend. If it's 9 p.m., then I write my one-win log. If I feel the itch to scroll, then I stand up and take 10 slow breaths while looking at something far away to reset my focus. You do not argue with urges. You root them. Some days you will feel invincible. On those days, resist the urge to triple everything. The victory is not volume. The victory is reliability. You can climb fast for a week, or you can climb far for a year. Far is built by reliable. Reliable is built by small. Small is built by simple. Simple is built by deciding before the moment. Decide before the moment, and the moment becomes easier than the story you used to tell about how hard it would be. Begin to notice how your relationships shift as you shift. When you protect your focus, you model it. When you keep your word to yourself, you keep your word to others without resentment. When you take care of your body, you show the people who love you that their time with you matters enough to be shared with the strongest version of you. When you log your wins, you teach your children, your friends, your team that progress is something we can witness and celebrate without needing confetti. You lead without speeches. You will also confront the conversations you've been postponing. The ones where you say no to the project that keeps you busy but not proud. The ones where you define the window when you are reachable and the window when you are not. The ones where you ask for clarity because your time is not a sponge. The ones where you choose depth over drama. These conversations are not against anyone. They are for your future. You are not building a wall. You are building a path. With time, you will feel a new kind of confidence, not loud or brittle, but rooted. You will still have doubts, but your feet will move anyway. You will still have tired days, but your minimums will hold. You will still be tempted by the old ease, but the new ease will taste better. The new ease is the peace of a day that adds up. The new ease is the relief of a self you can trust. The new ease is the strength that comes from a schedule that serves you instead of a schedule that swallows you. Now expand your field of view. Choose a monthly theme that supports your daily habit without competing with it. 1 month is for sleep quality, where you dim screens, cool the room, and guard a wind-down ritual. Another month is for strength, where you add a second set to the movements that are now part of you. Another month is for wealth hygiene, where you automate a small transfer after your focus block while your brain is still proud of itself. You are not reinventing yourself every month. You are layering competence. Create a tiny pipeline for your ideas. When an idea appears during your focus block, you don't chase it. You drop it into a later list and return to the task. At the end of the day, you scan the list and select one idea to test for 15 minutes tomorrow. Most ideas are sparks. A few are fires. You don't stand too close to every spark. You test quickly and keep the flame that warms the room you actually live in. When guilt tries to sneak in because you're doing less of what drains you, remember that every no is a yes to something truer. Remember that boundaries do not make you cold. They keep your warmth from leaking into places that never get warm. Remember that the people who benefit most from your lack of boundaries will be the ones who complain loudest when you build them. You are allowed to choose your life. You are also responsible to choose your life. You are building something far more valuable than a streak. You are building a compass that points to the next right action when the day goes sideways. A compass that points to the real work when the world hands you 100 attractive distractions. A compass that points to rest when the bravest thing is to stop. A compass does not move you by force. It guides you with truth. You move by choice. And now look back, not to linger but to learn. Look back at the person who thought change was a spectacle and offer them mercy. They did the best they knew. Look back at the days you drifted and offer them context. They taught you what your life feels like without the rituals that hold you. Look back at the week you started and the month you expanded and the quarter you stabilized, and let yourself feel the satisfaction of a life quietly coming into alignment with its intention. This is what you have built, a day that respects itself, an attention that obeys its owner, a body that carries its purpose, a log that tells the truth, a habit that began as a whisper and is now part of your name. This is not a fantasy. It is a set of actions, repeatable by anyone, sized for any season, portable across any dream. It is not fragile. It is not trend-dependent. It is you, arranged on purpose. So you wake tomorrow and you begin again. You do not perform for the world. You prepare for your future. You pour a glass of water and drink it like a promise. You put your shoes by the door and tie them like a decision. You sit at your desk and open to the place where you left yourself. Work worth continuing. You close your focus block with the reverence of someone who knows what it cost and what it made possible. You move your body because motion is the language your mind understands best. You write one honest line in your log because you are still paying attention. You go to sleep like someone who expects a tomorrow and deserves one. And when someone asks you how you turned your life, you tell them the truth, not a secret, not a hack. A handful of simple acts repeated until they became who you are. A single habit that stayed small enough to survive but strong enough to signal. A focus block that defended your best work from a world that never stops knocking. A body you began to respect. A record you kept so you could see yourself grow. A promise you learned to keep, not once, but daily. You smile because the truth sounds almost too simple to sell, but you are not selling, you are living. And living is louder than slogans. Your life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change. And the change that lasts is the change you can do today, tomorrow, and again. Start, continue, protect, record, rest, repeat. Let this be the year the quiet evidence of your days becomes the loudest thing about you.